That worked well. Oh shit, did I just turn it off? Is that what he says? I always wondered. Hey there, I will be right there. I'm trying to set up the Zoom correctly. There we go.
And then we're just stowaway here.
We made it.
I think I made it.
Yeah, this is that.
Hey everyone, sorry I've been letting people in and running around like a lunatic, and Janice dropped off an enormous bag full of really crazy stuff, including her grandma's glasses and her glasses from like a thousand years ago. And the glass, funny enough, her glasses look cooler than the grandma glasses. You would think the grandma glasses were cooler. Okay, so the screen looks good. I can kind of hear you guys. Who's talking? No one is. So what am I hearing? You're all on mute. I must be hearing you. Yeah, because I'm hearing voices and I thought it was them. And then they're all on mute. So I'm like, then whose voices am I hearing? So the voices in my head. Let's blame it on the music. Yeah, it's the music. Even though there's no lyrics. I'm hearing lyrics.
Blame it on the bossa nova.
Everyone's scared to sit in this one. I'm going to put the good sofa on the second one because everyone thinks this one is like, you know, attached to some sort of electricity or something. So those of you who did laundry today, this song is called Spin Cycle. So right now my laundry is almost done, so I'll have to leave in a few minutes to put it in the dryer. Because it's that Spin Cycle. The name of the band is Solvent. The irony there, you get it? They're called Solvent, and it's laundry term Spin Cycle. So obviously their laundry disintegrated because it's solvent. I would hope. At the end of the song, it disintegrates. And that's it. It's done. Yes, if you guys want to drink, let me know. Oh, cool.
Anybody would like chips? Oh, okay. All right. I guess we'll just. I'm just gonna leave it here in case it is.
I can transition. We should start. The first film is really cool. Wait, not yet. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Museum of Interesting Things. Okay, now to the class. So I'm Denny Daniel, and if you don't know, the museum normally travels and goes to schools, libraries, places like this, events, and shows people their iPhones didn't pop out of thin air, which, by the way, you're allowed to take video and pictures. Knowledge should not be proprietary. Knowledge should be free, so enjoy. And we do this, and also I have my space on Broadway and 8th Street, which I've opened for special by appointment private shows, so you can email me or call me and say, I want to come by tomorrow at 3, and then we put something together special for you, and you get to touch all the antiques, and I give you the history behind them. It's the most interactive show in the world. There's no museum that'll literally put everything in their museum in your hands, but we do. And then there's this, which is every week ever since COVID. It used to be every month, which means, and of course, being a New Yorker, we can't do the same thing every week. So every week is a different theme, believe it or not, which means this museum now has a minimum of 52 themes, which makes my mind go, and my budget go. So today's theme, of course, is the Oddities theme, which is a really, really fun one. I've got way more films than we could be here all weekend. And I wouldn't be done with the odd films, because if you've ever watched the news, you know there's a lot of oddities out there. So I collected them for you. And they're all kind of fun and silly. And this one is the most fun and silly. I like killed myself to make sure I got this one. And when I got it, it's 400 feet of 16mm film, originally shot in 1943. It's from 1943. This one won an Oscar. It's amazing. It's called Animalology or something. I don't know if anyone can say that quickly. I can try. And it like won an Oscar. It's amazing. When I got it, it was like all the sprocket holes were ripped to shreds. The thing was completely deteriorated. I was like, oh my God, we have to show this film. So it was the beginning of pandemic. So everyone was bored out of their skull. So I went through all 400 feet, inches at a time, sometimes literally this much of it, restoring the sprockets, and then doing the next 2 inches. And I went through the entire 400 feet and completely restored this film for you. Then the day I was done, I found another copy in mint condition. And I'm like, really? Because I've never seen this film in 12 years. And I see it twice, but you waited until I was done, which proves there is a God, and he has nothing better to do than play a practical joke on me. So I always tell my friend Abby that this is why there's starving people in India right now, because all the angels got bored of doing good deeds, and they're like, you know what, let's have some fun. And that's why our lives are so screwy sometimes. So the next time something weird and strange happens to you, think to yourself, angels are playing practical jokes with omniscience and omnipotence, because they can, since the Marx Brothers died. That's what they're doing. So that's my theory. I'm going with it. What do you think?
Me too.
Yeah, I think it's plausible. There's lots of good science behind that. So now we're going to do Animalology, and it's the film I restored, because why play the one that I didn't torture myself for freaking weeks over? Why not just do this one? Go ahead.
I'm wondering, how do you restore things like that?
So you literally, there's different ways to skin a cat. Sorry, cat. I do have a cat, poor Tristan. So to fix the sprocket holes, they actually sell sticky tape, and you can put it on it, but you know, that's like, you've got to, you know how hard that is to get this tape to get right on the holes and everything. Oh my God, it's sticky, so pull it off. And by the time you're done trying to get it right, now it's not sticky anymore, and you're like, great. So now you cut another tape and you go crazy. But that's a lot of the pros do that. What I do is I just take another film, and I put it upon it, and I kind of adhere it in this weird method of trying to tape it in little bits. It's anal as hell because and you can't do it in large strips. You'd be like, oh, just take another film. No, it loses the sprockets. So I end up not being able to do more than 2 to 4 inches at a time.
You're
And
a
I'm like,
sprocket punctuator?
really? What?
You're a sprocket punctuator on the splicer?
For if I'm using film, yeah, the splicer will punch into it. But if I'm already using film with holes, then you can't. You'd have to use a film that has no holes, and then it would pop holes into it, and that would kind of, but you can't get film that doesn't have holes. If it's, it's either got holes on both sides.
I think they used to have a splicer
One
kit
side.
that was pre-punched, and you could put a splicer.
You'd have to use a clear film on the other side that doesn't have holes, and then punch it through that way, maybe.
Holy cow.
But you still have to glue it back together, and it'll always be a little bit off, and the puncher might be a little bit off even. So, you're better, because the puncher has to punch it exactly. And if it's off by just the littlest bit, the jumpiness that sometimes you guys who are regulars see, and then you see me run to the projector and go like this, there's a little knob. So the film goes from the reel, and then there's 2 inches here of play, so that has some play. And then it goes to the gate where you've got the light and the lens. After that gate, there's a tiny little flywheel. And when I push that, it literally tugs the film. So why do I want to tug the film? Because the film has lost the sprockets. So it's literally ripping new holes into the film because it's off. It's off by a millimeter. So you're tugging it to bring it back to that millimeter, to where it needs to be. So when you tug it, it catches the little metal things that catch the sprocket. So I'm actually putting it back in the sprocket when I'm doing that tug. So every time you see me run in a panic state, that's because I'm doing that. So with this film, it happened all the time. And you're welcome anytime, since you guys are in the room, you're welcome anytime to walk over to the projector and I'll show you. And I'll show you how. I'm more than happy to show you. But be careful, if you walk over to a projector, I might end up making you string it up. And then you'll have to be a projectionist in 5 seconds. And I've done that to a lot of people. They actually end up doing pretty well. So, like I said, the next film won an Oscar, Animology, from 1943. Enjoy.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our class in advanced animalology, where we're going to show you many things about animals that aren't found in ordinary textbooks. We'll learn some facts about our animal friends that we never knew before, and unlearn a lot that we shouldn't have learned in the first place. So, using the modern method of visual education, we will not only tell you, but show you as well. Okay, up there in the projection booth. Our first subject for discussion is the owl. For centuries, this bird has been the symbol of wisdom and is always referred to as the wise old owl. Those large round eyes give him a look of wisdom, but naturalists have proved that he's not wise at all. In fact, he's actually stupid. So stupid that he sleeps days instead of nights. By the way, just why do you stay awake all night?
Because you can have more fun in the dark.
Now that we've found out why the owl stays up all night, let's get the lowdown on the bull. Many people believe that a bull will become enraged at the sight of a red flag, but that's not true, because the bull is colorblind. Nevertheless, this fellow looks like he has an explosive temper. While when it's provoked, he can you become a maddened tempest of violence and fury.
Why, heavens to Betsy, yes. Sometimes I get so infuriated that I could blow my top.
The next time you visit the zoo, don't be misled by the unfamiliar name ibex, for they're only goats. Although much rarer than the common variety, they're still goats. While this fellow is called an ibex, he has a goat's body, horns of a goat, he has ears like a goat, chin whiskers like a goat.
Why, I even smell like a goat.
How many of you folks in the audience really know your poultry? Well, I'll bet you didn't know that hens stand up to lay their eggs. Yes, a hen may sit around most of the time, but she always stands up just before the egg is laid. Now, come on, my fine feathered friend. Let's show the folks how it's done.
Okay, bombs away.
Oh, boy, that's really a whopper. You must be mighty proud of that king-sized omelet.
I'll say. I didn't know I had it in me.
Pigs is pigs, but there are many of us who don't recognize the best portions of a pig when we see them. So using these porkies as models, we're going to show you where the choice cuts of pork are located. Now here's where we get those delicious pork chops. And here are the makings of some tasty pickled pig's feet. While in this region we find those sweet, savory, sugar-cured hams. And here is where we get that choice, delectable, appetizing, mouth-watering bacon. That golden brown.
Mm-hmm. Shut your mouth, man. You're making me hungry.
Even in this mechanical age, horses are a familiar sight to most of us. But how many of you have ever seen one like this shaggy carrot? That is, outside of a nightmare. This Siberian nag from northern Asia not only has a beard on his face, but he has a beard all over. Well, long hair may look nice on some animals, but it certainly gives this guy a, shall we say, unkempt appearance.
Yep, I'd either got to get a haircut or buy me a fiddle.
If you've heard that skunks live alone and like it, you've been misinformed. Skunks are really very sociable fellows and love company. But strangely enough, the other animals don't care to associate with them. So they do the next best thing. They get together and enjoy their own company. Hey, what's this? An isolationist? An outcast? Say there, what seems to be the matter with the little guy over there by himself? What's wrong with him? Are you mad at him? Why isn't he with the rest of you?
Confidential, he's been eating onions.
Although this unique-looking specimen is called a warthog, he really has no warts at all. Those queer protuberances on his face are not warts, but natural growths, and they're considered marks of beauty. So this fellow might even be called handsome.
Sometimes I wish I was rich instead of so darn good looking.
These Chinese panda bears are pretty good looking too. And believe it or not, these bamboo eaters are strictly vegetarian. Most of their time is spent chewing on the succulent bamboo leaves that are so plentiful in their native China. Now, there's nothing these pandas love better than a feast on tender twigs of bamboo.
Oh, I'd give all the bamboo in China for just one meatball.
Did you know that there are no tigers in Africa? That's a fact. The tiger, being a native of Asia, is never seen on the dark continent. In fact, he's seldom seen anywhere. So while we have the chance, let's examine it more closely. My, what savage-looking eyes.
All the better to see you with.
Note the feet with those vicious, razor-sharp claws.
All the better to scratch you with.
And look at those strong, white teeth.
Oh, that's because I wash them regularly and see my dentist twice a year.
Of course, you all know a cow when you see one. But you know one kind of a cow from another. Yes, there are many kinds of cows. For instance,
I'm a Guernsey. I'm a Husky. I'm a Jersey. I'm a Pole.
hey, 4F. What kind of a cow is a 4F?
One with 4 horses.
One of the best known fallacies is the belief that an ostrich will bury his head in the sand. That is not so, because if they did, they'd be unable to breathe, and besides, they might get sand in their eyes. This colossal canary with the huge drumsticks is always sticking his neck out for food, because it tastes so good for so long. When birds of a feather flock together, something usually happens. So let's stop, look, and listen.
Sweet, sweet. Let's all dance like the birdies dance.
Oddities dance. Oddities dance. Take your time from the birds, now you all know the words. Sweet and free.
Excellent day.
Anyone wants some bird seed?
Nobody wants except me. Need popcorn, but I do. No one.
Because how would you? People put a birds. It depends on some of the which ones.
Didn't I tell you that one was fun? Yeah, I love that one. That one's crazy. The singing ostriches are the best part. That's the greatest. When I first saw it, all I saw was stills. And the stills of that thing were like, yeah, that's got to be good. But too stupid not to be fun. So I was like, yeah, that's worth it. And then when I got it, I was like, yeah, this was good. It was worth it. And having 2 of them is definitely worth it. The next one is one of the Holy Grail films in the museum. Yeah, I know there's a bunch of Holy Grail films. This one is also the flyer that you see, that woman with the eyes. So that's a still off of this film, and it's an amazing film. It's actually got Man Ray in it. The artist Man Ray is in this film. It's from 1924, believe it or not. This one is Ballet Mécanique. Even the name alone is like cool, right? So this one is the famous ballet mécanique with Man Ray doing the cameo. And speaking of Man Ray and standing in this room, for those of some of you know that my family actually owned the building. We got it when I was a kid. This was a falling apart building. Oh no, Ira, can you help me? I'm sorry. You know how to do it. Thanks, Ira.
That was fun.
Telephone. When we got the building, it was a paper warehouse. There was paper everywhere. The beams were falling in. It was falling apart. We had to gut it out. It took years and years, but everybody in crazy that it was nuts. But when we finally opened it, Soho was a gallery place. So this was a gallery, and the first gallery for show by Staley Wise, which is now a famous gallery. But Ethelene and all those people knew me as a little child, and I love them to death, even when I visit them now. She's like, Denny, I remember you when you were like this big. Her first show was Man Ray, and I'd never seen Man. I didn't know who Man Ray was. So I got to witness his original work going all the way down these walls. And it was a photography work. And just look up some of the photography work. It's black and white. It's beautiful beyond belief. I felt completely enamored with Man Ray. And I worked so hard to try to get anything on 16mm film from him on original 16. So, and then it turned out to be Ballet Mécanique, which is like this legendary film in that era. It's this crazy, like Dadaist, cool experimental film. So I'm like, perfect. So in a way, it's kind of cool for it to go full circle, where they had a show here and we get the show. So enjoy Man Ray, and it's a silent. So I'm going to play my electronic music, which works well, Man Ray. Sorry. Frank, you know how to tell if it's sound?
No, you don't?
It's got an optical track after the leader. Yeah, so you want to take a look and tell me? After the leader. So periodically, I accost one of the members of the crowd. I was going to almost do it to you, but then those people walked in, and I tell them, quick, string up a projector. And in 5 seconds, they learn how to string up a projector. They're like, 19. So Katie and Frank strung up the next film. Right. The film is from 1930. The projector is from the late 60s, early 70s. So if it rips, it's all Katie's fault. I didn't do it. No pressure. And this film is a debut. We did an unboxing in my apartment because when people come to do the shows in my space, at the end of the show, at the end of the presentation, they unbox a new acquisition, which you guys will do with these. So at the end, you'll get to open up new acquisitions and become museum curators. So one woman opened up like 10 freaking amazing films. I was like, holy moly, you opened up like the Holy Grail. And I've never seen these. They were opened up literally a couple of days ago. So this one is Walter Footer's Curiosities 1 from 1930. He made a bunch of these. I managed to get 2 of them. So there's the label right on it. So like I said, I'm debuting this one. The stills are hysterical and look really fun. It's like all these curiosities are what people thought were curiosities in 1930. So it's very interesting what they believe were curiosities. So I believe, Frank, did it have a soundtrack? Was it holes on both sides?
What's legitimate?
And it had, okay, so it might have sound.
It might.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
The way
thinking
you know.
75%.
Okay, so the secret is, this is what I want. I'm going to bring a film over here and teach everyone how to figure this out so you all know. Because clearly you're not going to be dealing with this on your phone. Now, I think Frank got it right because he probably knows. So ironically, I pulled him randomly from the crowd and had him do it. And he was a projectionist in a movie theater. Who would guess? So he's like, I used to do this. What are the chances? There's some weird, bizarre, like I keep telling Abigail, there's always some weird, bizarre things that happen here. And everyone's kind of used to it. All right, so this is what I want you to do when you go to an antique shop, okay? I want you to put on your glasses and look very smart and fancy. Then I want you to open up the film and like smell it. Then I want you to kind of look at it like this, look really important, look like this. Then like pretend, like those wine tasters who take the wine and gurgle and do all this stupid stuff with the wine and then spit it out. So I want you to pretend to lick it. So like that, and your friend will be like, wow, you're such an expert. You know all these fancy tricks and that. And if there's a spittoon, spit in it, and then look at it again and then say, this is sound film. And your friend will be like, wow, you're so professional. You're so smart. Okay, none of that matters at all. So when silent film first came out in the early 1900s, late 1800s, it was silent, and you want to hold on to the film strong, right? Because you don't want it to rip. So they put holes on both sides, sprocket holes on both sides, so that you're holding the film from both sides. All of a sudden, someone decides, let's put sound on these things instead of a keyboardist. Well, where are we putting sound? You've got holes on both sides and the picture in the middle. Where's the sound going to go? So someone said, I got a great idea. Let's just hold the film from one side, and we'll take out the holes on the other side, and we'll put the soundtrack there. So there's two kinds of sound. There's optical sound and magnetic sound. Optical sound, if it's called optical, how's it work? With light. It's optical, it's working with light, you see it. So like I was explaining to you, it's basically, they took a picture of a sound wave. So remember in the wintertime when you were a kid, you would talk to your friend and go, hi, hello, and then you saw your voice in the, in the cold go across. That's a wave of sound. When you talk to me, there's a wave of sound that's flying to my ear and hitting my eardrum and flying all over the room and bouncing off everything. So those waves you could see if it was cold enough in this room. I did put on the AC, but I don't think you'd appreciate it if you could see her. Although it's hot outside, it's not that hot. So we're not on like the sun. So you see this wave. So if you look at this with a magnifying glass, you'll actually see a little wave of sound going through the entire film. So if you see a film with holes only on one side, that's sound film, because the other side has the sound. And if you see a film with holes on both sides, there's no place to put the sound. So it's silent. That's how you know. But like I said, I want you to look professional, pretend it's wine tasting, and show off with your friends. Don't tell them I told you.
Unless it's data code.
Unless it's what?
Data code.
Data code. Oh, right, you could have, but
Well,
that's
this
not
is right
these
now.
films, because that we're going, 60s.
Okay, 18.
Yeah. And 1800s, so yeah. But then there's the other film, magnetic sound. So if it's called magnetic, what's it using? A magnet. Okay, so what is magnetic sound? Do you remember tape decks? Those tapes are magnetized. That brown is actually metal that they magnetized. So they actually put a strip of tape through here. So it's literally having a tape deck. So you could technically record on this, just like you do a tape deck. So my machine is a very rare machine. The machine that you got, that Frank and Katie strung up, that's one of the rare machines that can do both things. It can do optical and magnetic. They're very rare. I have actually about 3 of them, and someone's donating another one to me this week, thank God, because they're hard to find working. Most of the time you find them broken, and I actually had to repair every one of them. But that is one that does both. So I can toggle between magnetic and optical. And so there's 2 light bulbs on that computer, on that projector. One light bulb is showing you the picture, and the other light bulb is reading the optical sound. And it also has a tape deck, just like the old-fashioned tape decks. You were saying you already know some. So the old tape decks, so it has a tape deck head on that too. So it has 2 things in order to read film. So we're going to be doing, those are meant for Scopitone films, magnetic films, and they're completely hysterical films they did in the 1960s and 70s that were in bars. And you put a quarter in a jukebox, but instead of playing music, it played music and a film. And it actually had these films strung up in the jukebox. Somebody was dumb enough to think to do this. So there's an actual carousel in the jukebox with a bunch of films strung up. And do you remember, you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the Matrix, where you have all those human bodies and they have tubes coming out of their throat? That's what I think of when I think of this, because you have all these and you have this like tube coming out of it, and it's on a loop. So it's literally a jukebox with about 10 to 20 films in it. And I have almost 100 of those films. and they're meant for drunk men, so they're terrible and hysterical and funny. So they're kind of like a big collector thing. People are like, wow, you're playing Scopy tones? You have the projectors? And I'm like, yeah. I'm dying to get the machine, but it's as big as a laundry machine. It's huge. I had access to about 3 of them, but I live in a Manhattan apartment. So yeah, that's not going in my apartment ever. But someday I'll get one, I swear. But I can play those films on this projector too, and they're magnetic sound. So the next film is, Frank, what was it? Do you remember? Oh, that's right, the Curiosities film.
Yes,
Thank you for reminding me.
of course.
From 1930. And like I said, no pressure. All right, so enjoy Curiosities. This is the first time we're playing this one. Frank, you were mistaken. But we have music set up for you. I hope.
Use that dancing feet are great. It's hard to lower it.
Depeche Mode, by the way, if you don't know who that was. I got to see them as a kid, meet Martin Gold. So the next one is a classic film. This is another Holy Grail item in the museum. This one is called Neighbors, and it's from 1956. And it's from Norman McLaren. Now, this film won awards. It's a Canadian film about the Cold War, and it's really amazing how he did this. It's a fascinating philosophy. It's basically two neighbors arguing over something completely minute, but it shows the silliness of the world, which all the women are going, yeah, we know. So this one is done with very interesting stop motion animation. And normal stop motion, you take a clay figure and you make it move in, a puppet. No, he took a human and made the human move in stop motion. Two humans. So the neighbors are in stop motion. So imagine how ridiculously anal you have to be to do this film. Like, it's really unbelievable. And the amount of work the actors had to do. And the look is just priceless. It's a really cool look because it's actual humans having to do the stop motion. It's just unbelievable. And it won awards. And it influenced one of the directors we're going to be showing after this. I don't think it's the very next one, but maybe, oh, actually I haven't strung the next one up, so I could. Okay, so it influenced my friend Robert Swarth, who did the next film that I'm going to string up for you called Kick Me, which also did Oscar and things like that. And he's a big director too. So he learned from this animation and did his own version of it by scratching on the film and doing scratch animation on the actual film, drawing on it and scratching on it. So, but this one came out way before. He did that in the 70s. This one is 1956. So enjoy. Isn't that a fun film?
Stalin and the US.
What's that?
Stalin and the US.
I know, right? Yeah, it's a crazy time. My mom was there during Stalin. She, as some of you know, was orphaned partially by Stalin, partially by the Shah as a kid. So she lived through some of that stuff. Of course, if we're going to do a Cold War thing, we should bring our, just in case there's a nuclear war here right now and you see a mushroom cloud out there, the first thing you want to do is get a drink of emergency drinking water, which you got to shake this, right? Yeah. So this is basically probably rust. So basically it's the equivalent to drinking cyanide right before the nuclear bomb goes off, so you kill yourself before the Russians get you, is what I think. That's for. And this one is from Brooklyn, New York. Yeah. Brooklyn water, which would probably kill you anyway, even if it was clean. Probably from around the 1950s. Part of our artist oddity show that we have on the table over there. I had to bring a shoe phone, but I brought the casual look because it's Friday. It's casual Friday. So this is the sneaker phone. Push button. I got the modern version. I know all of you have your sneakers are obviously rotary. Mine's push button. You can upgrade it if you'd like here at your table. So the next film, like I mentioned, was from Bob Swarth, who this film is called Kick Me. I believe it was nominated for an Academy Award. It's from around 1976. Bob is an amazing person. This is I'm on the board of the 3D Society here in New York, and before pandemic, we threw our meetings here every single month. So I hosted the meetings here. So I've hung out with this guy every day, you know, all the time, every month, and spoke to him many times, driven him home many, many times. And then randomly, I'm just looking for cool films to add to the museum. And I see this film Kick Me, and I see a couple of stills. I'm like, oh, this looks really fun and kind of whimsical and interesting. And then I read the name on the film, the director, and I go, Robert Swarth. And I'm like, this can't be the same person. Because this is just some normal guy who comes here and he's very normal, and he's quiet and never talks and I'm driven home. And I'm like, so I call him up and I go, Bob, is this your film? Are you a filmmaker? He goes, yeah, you didn't know that? And I'm like, you're like a famous person and you don't tell me this? I've driven you home. Like, what's wrong with you? And he goes, so you don't know my story? So it turns out he worked on Close Encounters from the Third Kind. And so, and many movies like, you know, Star Trek and all these other movies, he's worked on tons of movies. So when you see these crazy special effects, when in Close Encounters, when you see that special effect when it's landing, he's the guy who does all those crazy cool lights and lasers and all that other stuff. That's Robert. So I was like, wow. So he said, yeah, you know, I started doing this cool film where you scratch on the film and do all this stuff. So he did this animation, and it's really amazing how much you feel for this basically a stick figure. Like it's almost nothing. And you end up getting a lot, by the end, you just love him. He's really cool. So this is Robert's work. And I actually have 2 of his films now in the collection. And it looks like I'm probably going to get a 3rd one from him. And I've been helping him transfer his films to digital because there's apparently an anniversary coming up of something that he did. Probably something amazing that he doesn't tell me about. And he's putting together a little like history of or something that hopefully we'll get to release and debut at least a cut from it here. But he has spoken at the Speakeasy too. I had him, after I found out he was a famous person, I said, then you should speak to the people and let them know the brilliance of, you know, speak to us little people and teach us. So here's his work, Kick Me. Isn't that the silliest, most whimsical, fun film? He's great. What's that? I know. I know. I always look at the audience and like everyone's like, especially Frank. I was like, Frank's the projectionist, and he's like, "Oh no!" Meanwhile, you're all looking at me, and I'm not running towards the film. So it's like, why does he not care? I'm like, yeah, let it burn. We just show this film once every time. That's how it works. And then I set fire to it. It's like a performance art piece. So the next film, I have no freaking clue what this is. It's called, what is it? Plates and Problems. And it was one of these films that somebody just had and hadn't played it and had no clue what it was. Took a couple of stills and I was like, wow, it looks really strange and unusual. Works perfectly for the Oddities show. But I know pretty much nothing about it except that it's nutty and odd. So we'll find out now because I'm debuting it tonight. I've never seen it before, but I've had it for a couple of years and I keep forgetting to like bring it and show it so we can see what it is. So we're all going to be museum curators and historians now and check out this Plates and Problems. So. Clearly, it's a silence. Crazy, huh? It's such a short film that I was running around like rewinding, and I didn't even get to rewind the other film in time, and just managed to string up the other film. But I saw the ending credits as it lasted for freaking ever. But I mean, was there a beginning credit that gave you any more information, like a year or something? Did you see? I'm going to take that film and I'm going to shove it into my wallet bag and then try to like rewind that and at least put the, you know, who did it for the next time we play it. But it's crazy, huh? Yeah, the stills were crazy. So the film is too. The next film will also debut. I have not shown this film yet. It looked really funny and silly. I'm planning on doing a show. I had developed a cat show and we debuted it here. No, not cough, cat. So we debuted it here for this little girl whose parents are just hysterical and cool. I told them I want to put myself up for adoption. Every birthday they do something crazy for their daughter. So the last time they literally took over the Natural History Museum, which as a kid I had like a subscription to forever. I love that museum, anything with dinosaurs. In fact, one of my teachers at NYU was the curator there for primates, and I got to like hang out in the back rooms and play and have like super fun.
I worked in the Department of Vertebrate Paleontology for 4 years.
Did
in the
you?
1970s, yeah.
Oh my God, Janice.
The dinosaur department.
And for those people, Janice donated those items that I put on the table over there. The skates and all that other stuff are from her and her grandma and everything. So thank you again, Janice, for the fourth care package here. Oh my God, tangents. So where was I? Oh no. Oh, this. So with this film, how did we get to that? Come on, help me here.
You're talking about the dinosaurs.
Right. And the museum. Oh, that's right. So the cat show. Okay. So wow, you guys are good. I need you around me wherever I go because I go. Can you tell I'm the tangent king? So at any rate, yeah. It's so we debuted it here, and this guy. So he took over the Natural History Museum and threw the birthday party for his daughter. Oh, and by the way, the birthday party lasted so long they closed the museum, and the staff left. And they locked them in the museum with the dinosaurs. It's like night at the museum, but for real. So I said to him, so what did you do? How did you get out? And he goes, I found a back door that happened to be open and I got out of it. And I said, so then you just left? He goes, no, it went to a courtyard with a fence and the fence was locked too. And I'm like, you're kidding. So it's like breaking out of Alcatraz and you still end up in Alcatraz because there's a fence around it. You're like, damn. So I said, now what did you do? And I said, well, we've got kids, you know, we can't stay here. So I said, so what did you do? And he said, so the parents, a couple of parents climbed over the fence to the other side. And then me and my wife stayed on this side. And we literally threw the kids over like we passed the kids over the fence to the other. So imagine you've got this kid, you're like, have you got him? Yeah, I got a leg. It's like, I was like, wow. So you passed every child? And it was like, yeah. And of course we invited everyone showed up. So imagine you've got like 20 to 40 kids, you're passing over this fence at like in the middle of the night. And I'm like, yeah, I'm amazed the cops didn't like stop and be like, I don't even know what to arrest you for. Like, what do you do? Like, I mean, you could steal the dinosaurs, you could steal, you're stealing kids. Like, like, what's going on here? What is this? So yeah, it must have been fun to look at. I said, you should have videotaped the entire experience. So the cat show has the world's largest collection of cat board games. They literally can go from here all the way to the ceiling and more. And I've got everything from Mousetrap. Do you remember Mousetrap? So I got Mousetrap in the original 1960s cover, not like the later covers. I got the classic cool cover, which is like a Rube Goldberg device. And then everything to a modern one called Crazy Cat Lady, which is perfect. And then I decided to do a dog show also. So now I have a giant collection of films having to do with dogs, and we'll hopefully debut it here. Some of you saw Neville speak here before. He trains dogs and ran Limelight, because those things clearly coincide. So this is one of the dog films that's really cute and fun and silly. It's called, you ready for this name? You're gonna love the name. A Boy, a Dog, and a Frog. Clearly.
No cats.
No cats. It's a dog. So based on a book by Mercer Mayer, produced by John Stumer and Gary Templeton. And this is meant for schools. So this is one of these educational films that you pick up for schools. So it has a whole like teaching lesson and everything, his adventures and all that. And it tells you afterwards discussion. Have you ever tried to catch a wild frog and all this other stuff and snake and all that? Those are the cops that actually put it for the kids hopping over the fence, by the way. They're getting them finally. So it gives you a whole teaching lesson about frogs, I guess, and all those other stuff. But this is a teaching one. Someone unfortunately put a giant smiley sticker on here, so I can't read all of them. But anyway, this one is a boy, a dog, and a frog, and we are debuting it today.
And no dogs, no cats.
Isn't that fun? So the next film, I got two films at the same time. I'm going to play one of them tonight. I just got it. We're debuting it today. The other film was called The Critic. It actually has Mel Brooks in it. It's weird. This one is called The Interview. It's also weird. And it's with Stan Getz, the famous jazz musician. So this is an interview of a jazz musician, and it's during that crazy beat period. So it's kind of like spoofing on like the beat artists. And it's really, really fun on how they spoof on jazz and beat artists and, you know, that fun genre.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like you to meet Shorty Pedestine, who is one of the up-and-coming jazz French trumpeters, do they call them out there? No. French horn. Would you get a little, just French horn. Get a little closer to the microphone. Get a little closer. French horn. French horn. Yeah. And what do they call you, French hornet? Well, you know, like a blowhorn. Would you speak up a little bit on blowhorn? Yeah. Fine. And tell me, how do you like Dixieland? Well, I mean, you know. Well, what about, would you say Tchaikovsky? No, man. You don't, man. You know, like, I mean, because, I mean, you know. Man, I mean, I think more like, you know, Bartok, you know, something like that, man, because I mean, I'm more swinging. Well, how would you compare the kind of music you play with? How would you compare that with art? You know, what kind of art? Man, like I think art flows the most. I mean, he came with a band about 3 years ago, man, and like he was a real, you know, small town cat, and I mean, he was swinging, man, but he was a small town cat. And I mean, he started Lotus, and it was a real nut. Yeah. And who are you appearing with currently now here in San Francisco? Well, man, I'm on the show with Stan, you know. My combo, and we're playing with the kind of thing with Stan. And how are the crowds receiving it down there? They like it. Well, I mean, they come, man. It's a little closer to my come, man. They come, man. A little louder. Yeah, well, you want the audience to hear everything you have to say. Yeah. So that's mighty good drum, what do you call it, riff? Well, you know. Now, what are your plans for the future, Oz? Yeah, well, like, man, I'm here. I mean, I'm not a swinging group here. I like Frisco the most, man, because I mean, the town jumps, you know. I mean, there are a lot of scenes, man, and I mean, it's like that, you know.
what would you advise the young artist, the young musician to do? Would you advise them to get an academic education or see strive immediately for self-expression?
Well, man, I mean, I'm a musician. Again, I mean, to me, the most important thing is like you should blow, you know. And I mean, like I tried to make it at Juilliard, man, and it's a real bad scene, you know, man. I mean, it's a bad scene.
Bad scene?
Yeah, man. I mean, well, I mean, it's not, you know, like nothing's happening, you know. I mean,
you mean
don't fall. No,
they don't have any classes
no,
up
man.
there?
No, man, nothing's happening. No, man.
Well, I was sure that there was something happening up there in Juilliard. Are they classes?
Sure, they have classes, man. But I mean,
very fine professors.
well, yeah, but they're too far out, man. They're on this Schoenberg bit and stuff like that, and I mean, it doesn't swing, you know. I mean, if a cat wants to blow and he wants to blow, and then he's got to have a scene where he can blow. And,
yeah, well, that would apply. That would apply to the artists that are playing horns and wind instruments. So they would have to blow. What about those who are, for example, playing string instruments, or would you say that? How's the picture there?
Well, I mean, you know, it's pretty much all the same, man. A blow is like an instrument, you know.
Blow is like an instrument. Well, perhaps there's some verbal communication that we don't seem to be getting across. How do you say blow is like an instrument?
Well, man, I mean, don't hang me, you know. I mean, like, I didn't want to fall up here in the first place, man. I mean, this is a big bug because, I mean, like, the manager of the band, man, I mean, I can't take it, man. I take it easy. Too much. I mean, please, you know.
Okay, thanks. You just go over there and sit down with Pops, and we'll listen to the music.
I don't know why I put Stan Getz on the reel. That's great. Isn't that a crazy film? What?
Inventions, Stan Getz.
Does he? Oh, okay, that's why. Okay, because I've been so busy trying to run around. Because the next film I didn't string up. Why not? Because I want to show you how I'm stringing this one up. Because this one is kind of different. It came on something called, and I don't know if you had this, with 35, I don't think they had this, cores. Yeah, 35. Oh, yes, they do. In fact, I'm just about to get a bunch of split with. So to tell you what a core is, this is a core. So a normal reel is a normal reel of film with a hole like this. A core can't go on a projector. This is too big a hole and there's nothing, no projector that plays this. So why do this? Well, because reels cost a bunch of money. A couple of dollars each or $1 at least. Cores are cheap. It's just a cheap, stupid piece of plastic that'll cost not even $1. It'll be like 10, 20, 30, whatever it is, cheap. So if you have thousands of films and you have to put every one of them on a reel, you're spending an extra couple of $1,000s on the reels. So it's cheaper to get yourself a core and save 50 cents to a couple of bucks per reel. That could be a couple of $1,000s when you're done. So it's worth it. So people put it on a reel, but then have you play it on a projector? It's completely useless. Well, you get yourself one of these reels. This reel is called a split reel. So what is a split reel? It splits in half. So in order for me to play a core, I've got to take this reel. So this reel isn't a normal reel because I can actually undo it. I see that? And now the reel splits in half. How cool is that? And there's a core on it, see? So now I can take this film, which I've never played before, and put it inside here. Mosh. So now there's the reel inside the split reel. And then you can see there's kind of like a hole in the center that's got screws. So I can put this back here. And lock it in there. And of course I did that before I took the tape off. So let me get my tiny little fingers in there. Thank God I'm not that. And get the reel off of there. And now it's a reel. Isn't that cool? The split reels are really, they're hard to find, they're expensive, and thank God, literally today, while I was here setting up, one of my friends on these like Facebook groups said to me he had 3 split reels that he's willing to sell for almost a third of what they normally go for. And he had 2 1,200-foot ones and 1 1,600-foot one, which is really rare to get a 1,600. Those are huge. So I said, you know what? Although it's pandemic time and everybody's in debt and everyone's struggling and I'm doing these to like pay for the bills, I'll never see this again. And 5-10 years from now, I'll go to myself, why didn't I buy all 3 of those? I'm so stupid, especially the 1,600, which goes for like hundreds. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pull the trigger on this because I always land on my feet somehow, usually within a year. I don't know how I managed to do that. Every year I managed to make this happen and survive it. So I said, you know what, we'll get all 3 split reels, and now I'll have enough of these. So if we get more cores, we can play them. But that's a core without the reel on it. So there you go. Frank. Hey, that's yours. Thank you. So now you'll know how long it takes me to string up a reel. Okay, so this film, I didn't even tell you what film it is a debut. I literally got this with that other Curiosities reel. So this one, the only marking I have on it is it's called Universal Oddities. So clearly it works for the Oddities show. Let's hope it's sound. Frank, does it sound?
Old Dame Nature plays many queer tricks, but here is one of her strangest. A mineral spring that will give you a perfect shampoo. And hundreds of tourists take advantage every day of this unusual phenomenon. Nature's free shampoo. Only you pay for the towel. It is known as Shiloh Springs, California. The real springs are high in the Cascade Mountains. From here, the water is piped 4,000 feet down to the nearest highway. And what an array of minerals and analysis of the water shows. The pipeline was put in by a far-sighted native, Oscar Mayer by name. And what a business he does in towels. Curiously enough, this strange spring water will not lather in the hair of a child 13 or under. But for grown-ups, well, it's a barber's dream. The springs are named for the waters of Shiloh near Jerusalem, from which the famous pool of Siloam was created. And the water here is said to be similar and to have the same curative properties. Oh, yes, it's good to drink, too, and is said to be a great tonic, long used by the Indians. Think of it, a hair tonic that's good for what ails you. Shades of the Prohibition era. Wiley Tucker of San Antonio wanted to be an animal trainer, but the baking business got him. However, he's turned out to be the best animal trainer in the bakery field. He's gone animal crackers one better by specializing in a weird assortment of cakes and cookies that would do credit to any zoo. A red-hot merry-go-round in the bakery oven turns the curious dough doodads into a tasty menagerie. The demand for the novel cakes is exceptional. Displayed in a jungle setting, they go, well, like hotcakes, of course. Yes, sir. Tucker's strange edible zoo idea is good for plenty of dough. Back in the days of '49, old Shasta, California was a thriving mining center. But there's still gold in them thar diggings, in the form of valuable old relics. Robert Litch, a storekeeper of Old Shasta, has spent 30 years digging into the ruins of this and other ghost towns. Among his interesting finds is this bold rush hearse, a sort of litter, upon which the late lamented was carried to a nearby hillside cemetery. Litch keeps his finds in a museum back of his store. All who visit the museum must sign the register. That is, if Jerry the museum mouser will let them. Litch has accumulated an amazing array of 19th century articles. Guns were household necessities to the 49ers. And here we find what is probably one of the outstanding collections of old lanterns in America. The Litch collection of lamps and other relics is valued at more than $60,000. Relics of a wild, rough era in the history of the West, with here and there evidence of some woman's yearning for the beautiful in a world of rugged, bearded men. One of the strangest museums on record. Some people have strange hobbies, but Professor Ralph Beanfang of the University of Oklahoma takes the all-time prize. He collects weird and exotic odors. Some of them are from strange substances from various parts of the world. Others he concocts himself. Most of them are pleasing perfume. Others smell to high heaven. The odors are filed on special cards in a sort of card index system, and he has hundreds of them. His class in pharmacognosy, and nosy is right, helps him with his unusual hobby. Many a strange scent is cooked up here. The girls especially eagerly aid in the search for new and alluring perfumes. Going on a sniffing spree in the doctor's aromatic album is quite a novel experience, they say. But then it has its surprises, too. Phew.
With more branches than a national bank, this banyan tree, which grows in Burma, is one of the largest in the world. Look at the size of it. It's almost big enough to be Paul Whiteman's family tree. Every limb from the main body throws out its own roots, which reach the surface and become trunks. These trunks then shoot out new branches, and this process continues indefinitely. Some of these trees are 1,000 feet in circumference. The lumber in this tree alone would make enough wooden legs to walk from here to China and back. Extraordinary attention has been given to banyan, under which Gautamiya Buddha, founder of the Buddhist religion, first conceived the idea for a new faith. It is a species of the mulberry, and for centuries has been treated with a peculiar veneration by the natives. This is all one tree, and would make an ideal love nest, as there are plenty of exits to use when the husband comes home unexpectedly up the main branch. These big trees are very common throughout Burma, but this one in particular is so large that a family of squirrels who used to live in it went crazy, trying to remember which trunk they hid the nuts in.
I love those. I'm glad I got a bunch of those. There's a third one, actually. Okay, so I found this fantastic sheet that I had for the other one. But of course, after I put it in, I just left it on the table. Okay, so the interview, remember? 1960. So that one, of course, the animation it told you, Ernie Pintoff. And he also did the Oscar winner, The Critic, with Mel Brooks, which is hysterical. Find it on YouTube. I have it on 16. I literally tore apart my house and my room and my apartment about 17 times and could not find the stupid Critic one. But I'm going to find it someday and play it here, even if it's not the theme, because it's really hysterical. The story goes that Mel Brooks went to a movie theater and a couple behind him drove him crazy talking about the damn film, the entire film. So he decided to do a spoof of that. So he called up this animator guy and said, make a film, don't show me it. I want it to be the most ridiculous kind of film ever, something that would be like Cubism in Modern Art Museum that means nothing. And then I'm gonna watch the film and I'm just gonna go off and riff. And it's unbelievable. The whole film, you hear Mel Brooks, going, what is this? I don't understand this. What are these sticks and this thing? I could do this. My nephew could do this. I don't understand what's going on here. What am I paying for this for? What is this? That looks like they're doing something. Should this be X-rated? What's going on in this film? What are they doing? It's crazy. I don't know. It's a bunch of sticks and a bunch of stuff. Why did I pay for this? And then he has someone behind him who goes, well, you shut up. He's like, what do you want from me? I paid my $10. I can do what I want. Oh, it's great. And it's the whole film. He just riffs and it's all ad lib. It's like Robin Williams, but it's early. So, it's like the 1960s or something, or 70s when he did it. And it's really great. And it won an Academy Award. And it's every filmmaker's nightmare or dream or something. This film spoofing on people that don't. So this one is by the same director. So Shorty Peterson, or Pedersen, whatever, Pederstein doesn't exist. He's voiced by Henry Jacobs as the Stan Getz combo, blows and riffs off camera. So that you're hearing Stan Getz performing, but the jazz person doesn't exist. It's just a character, a beatnik character that he came up with. So Jacobs was actually a sound engineer who worked in radio and hosted radio shows with world music programs. And let's see what else I wanted you to know about this. That's pretty much it. Yeah, it just moves on the whole 1950s and 60s beatnik bunch. But that's why I put in Stan Getz on it, because the music is Stan Getz. And if you don't know Stan Getz, you do. Girl, for me, na, 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 na. That's Stan Getz. The singer is Astrid Gilberto. Now, I've always wanted that record more than life. I was like, this is a great record. I went to Kim's video and I went, oh no, Bleecker Bob's first, who was a friend of mine, Bob. And I said to him, do you have this? And he pulls out a record. He goes, I don't know, but it's on this record. I think it says, girl from Ipanema, Stan Getz. And I'm like, but there's no female. There's a picture with three guys and it shows three guys. And I don't want a guy singing that song. That would be horrible. The whole point of that song is that beautiful voice. Her name was Astrid Gilberto. And I'm just, she's great. So I said, I'm not buying this record. It's a cover. So I go and I look everywhere and I couldn't find it. And I kept being drawn to the record. So I went back and I said, I'm going to take out the record and read the credits. I'm reading the credits and nothing says Astrid Gilberto. Not on the cover, not on the back hardcover. When you open the gatefold, there's a picture of 3 men. And then there's a giant Charles Dickens novel on the other side of gatefold. And I'm like, I'm not reading this. There's no picture of a girl. There's no mention of a girl. There's no girl. Why would this Charles Dickens novel matter? They didn't credit her. It's not the record. I'm going home. I looked everywhere. Months went by. A year went by. Everywhere I went, I said, do you have this? No. Finally, I'm like, I'm drawn to this stupid record in Bleecker Bob's again. So I go back and I go, I'm going to read the 5 columns of text. I'm going to read this Charles Dickens novel. I don't know why I'm going to read this, because why would the lead singer of the most famous song in the world that everyone in the room knows, why would it be in there and not be on the cover? So I read it, the whole first paragraph, column, nothing, the whole column. I read the second column, the whole second column, nothing. I'm like, why am I reading this? It's the girl from Ipanema. If you didn't mention her by now, she's not on this record. But I'm just so stuck. I'm like, you know what, man? I'm going to read the whole damn thing because I'm here. And I've come back 3 times. In the middle of this Charles Dickens novel, he goes, oh, and by the way, my wife, Astrid, we thought she sings really kind of nice, so we put her on this song. What? Nobody knows any song on this whole damn album. That's the only song you guys know. That's how he mentions his wife. I kept thinking to myself, do you remember The Odd Couple when he goes, that request came from his wife and she leaves him like a frying pan? Did she do that to him the day he came home and she hit #1 all over the damn world? Did she go, really? A mention in the middle of the gatefold? Yeah, here's the frying pan, get the hell out. You know, I don't care that you're Stan Getz, the famous jazz musician. All of you, you know, many people know Stan Getz, but everybody knows the girl from Ipanema. It was almost like God's retribution for not giving her credit anywhere. You know, like, he's like, really? You're not giving her credit except go pick up the album. It's a black album with a cool looking art, you know, kind of modern art painting on it, and buy the album. You will die laughing. You will not see her mentioned anywhere except the middle of the album. And yeah, she did divorce him. and she came out with her own albums, and I bought almost all of her albums from beginning to end. And if you buy anything Astrid, all the stuff up until like the early 70s are amazing. All her records are really good. And I'm like enamored with her. I absolutely adore her. I'm in love with this girl. I'm waiting for her to play. I never got to see her live. I missed her by that much. So I literally stalked her manager and said, I absolutely adore her. Can you get me like at least a signed cover of a CD or something? And she sent me it. So I got her signature. Because she stopped performing. She's really much older now. And she said, yeah, we stopped performing. We performed the last time last year. I'm like, no, it was like literally hours after I bought. I'm like, now you stop performing after I finally find your darn album? Really? You've got to be freaking kidding me. So yeah, what are you gonna do? But at least I got her signature. And I still don't even have a 16 of her. But that gives you an interesting, fun story. And like I said, look it up. If you don't buy the record, at least, you know, it's probably on the CD too. I wonder if they mention her on the CD. Someone let me know. Yeah. If you pick up the CD, let me know if they actually finally gave her a proper credit. I'd be curious if they just recreated the record. And then she kicked his ass twice. Like, really? You couldn't even fix it on the CD? Yeah. So should we show another film and then the unboxing? What do you think?
Yes.
Done. Okay, the next film is completely ridiculous and funny and silly. It's Who Put the Pants in Mrs.
Murphy's Chowder.
Thank you.
What is it called again?
Who Put the Pants in Mrs. Murphy's Chowder? It is one of these hysterical, ridiculous, odd, you know, Stranger Things soundies. And I absolutely love this one. The name alone made me go, yeah.
Growing up, my dad used the lyrics overalls, and he sang this song quite a bit.
Is that right, Joe?
Yes.
Is that your dad?
Who put the he sang Who Put the Overalls in Mrs. Murphy's Chowder quite a bit.
Your dad was, Joe has the coolest dad. I always say this. Joe's too humble. His dad shot Shea Stadium, the Beatles at Shea Stadium. So when you see his dad running across back and forth on the stage, that's Joe's dad. How cool is that? I'm like, what a cool dad. So he's another house that I'm putting myself up for adoption for. Call your dad. Tell him to send me the paperwork. Joe and I are on the board of the 19th Century Society. Another society we're on the board. We're very bored.
Everything was plentiful, perfect and slow. They treated us like gentlemen, we tried to act the same. Only for what happened, well, it was an awful shame. Mr. Murphy missed the shower out and fainted on their bottom. He found a pair of overalls at the bottom of their bottom. His Nolan, he got ripping and his eyes rolling out. He jumped up on the piano and loudly beat a shout.
Who threw the overall and Mr. Murphy's shoulder?
Nobody spoke, so they shouted all louder.
It's an Irish trick, it's true, and I can lick to make that through. The overalls and Mr. Murphy's shoulder. Who threw the overalls and Mr. Murphy's shoulder?
Nobody spoke, so they shouted all louder.
It's an Irish trick, it's true, I can lick to make that through. The overalls and Mr. Murphy's shoulder.
They grabbed the place from out the soup and laid them on the floor. Each man tore upon his like he never before.
They were plastered up with mortar and were worn out at the knee. They had their many up and down because we were saving me.
Mr. Murphy, he gave him to get to buy his house. He had a little boy that day of the to take his house.
And he excused himself from what he said that night. So we put music to the words and song with all our might. Does anybody know? Was it that true? The overall in Mr. Murphy's shoulder is an Irish trick. It's true, but who's the mix and through the overall in Mr. Murphy's shoulder? There was Murphy and McGinty, Paddy and O'Shea, McCarthy and O'Brien, who surely had their say. But no one knew who was it that drew the overall in Mr. Murphy's shoulder. It's an Irish trick, that's true, I can lick them, make that true. The overall in Mr. Murphy's shoulder. Oh, I woke me up this morning and I heard a joyful song from the throats of happy Irishmen, 100,000 strong. It was the Hibernian Brigade lining up for to start the big parade. So I grabbed the hat my father wore upon St. Patrick's Day, and I wore it tilted on the side the good old Irish way. And we all sang the wearing of the green, a finest sight I'm sure you've never seen. It's a great day for the Irish, it's a great day for fair. The sidewalks of New York are thick with blarney. You'd think that old New York was Kilkenny. It's a great day for the shamrock, for the flags in full array. We're feeling so inspired because of all the Irish. It's a great, great day. Sure, there's Grady and O'Grady, the McPartlins and O'Brien.
the Grogans and the Hogans, the McSweeneys and the Rhine, and this good-natured Irish Dan McQuaid, getting set for to start the big parade. There's Julian, Gilhulian, McGlynn and Donahue. There's Hannigan and Flanagan, Murphy and McHugh. First in line right behind the big brass band. Each one holds a shillelagh in his hand. It's a great day for the Irish. It's a great day for the fair. Big Arch, there's not a cop to stop a raid. Big Yachty, all the cops are out parading. It's a great day for the Shamrock, and the flags in full array. And as we go swinging, every Irish heart is singing. It's a great, great day.
What a great day for there. Not a fun song to hit. The soundies are completely hysterical.
How long have you been Irish?
5 minutes. So, Abigail, what would your dad think about it? So now we're going to do our tradition of the unboxing. So when you come here, you're supporting us so that we can continue teaching in schools and libraries. So technically, you own everything in the space. It is all yours. So technically, when you go to any museum, you own everything in that museum because you supported them. So when you go to the Met, you know what I want you to do. I want you to go to the curator and say to them, and he said, I own everything in this building. I'd like to open the mummies now and see where that gets you. But here you do get to open the mummies, although I don't know if I ordered any mummies. There might be a mummy part in there. But you do get to open up the new acquisitions. It started in my building. The kids in my building thought it was like Christmas and Hanukkah every day in my apartment. So they said, what is this? What do you do? And I said, I run a museum, I teach kids. And I thought I should open a box with the kids right here in the lobby. And they opened the box and it was the coolest thing in the world. It was 250 antique 1800 skeleton keys, metal skeleton keys. And I was like, whoa, this is cool. And I was like a kid in a candy shop. I'm like, skeleton keys, 250. And I'm like playing around with them. And the kids are playing around, we're having fun. And I gave each kid a skeleton key as a keepsake. And they were so like happy and all that. And then I thought, this is great, but if I give away the antiques, I won't have anything to teach the kids with. But the idea of you guys opening the items makes you realize what you're, what you're doing, and it makes, it's more fun. So I actually stopped opening up items, and I only let you guys open up the items because it's like fun and cool. And even when I'm gone and we're planning on hopefully getting a building and putting everything in the building, and I want to donate it all to New York. When we do that, I'm going to say that whoever's curating this thing has to have you guys open up the new acquisitions forever. And I'm going to literally have them, as somebody walks through the door, go, you come over here. Like I make you do the projector. I mean, here, we just got a new acquisition. And according to the contract Denny did before he passed, everyone has to like open up. So they're going to just stop people when they walk through the door. I'm going to say to them, you need to stop people randomly as they walk through the front door and get them to open a new acquisition just randomly, So you guys get a whole bunch of over here. I'll give you a little bit of Hollywood direction. I have to teach you how to use scissors. Because people see a package and see scissors and they do this. I swear to God, people do this. And I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, opening a package. I'm like, not like that, So if it's a box, which there's only one, you want to open it from the back. Because I need later for cataloging, which Abby knows way too much about. For cataloging, I need the labels here so that I can know where it came from and all that. So the package and the item have to stay together and live together. So you grab a package, you open it with these things, you just cut it from the side. Wow, what a cool looking thing to put on that. And speaking of the labels, don't read where it came from and the guy's address, because that would suck, because then all these people can go and rob. Yeah, don't read the labels. Put it, so you grab the package, you open up the package here on the side, and then when it's open, come over to me and put me on the spot and make me figure out what it is. And I'll tell you what it is, and hopefully I remember what I got. Although something strange is happening. Okay, I'm like, where'd that come from? Clearly, I see Judy and Howie, and I'm like, okay, I know where that came from.
You just read it.
Yeah, I had I'm looking and I go, all right, I put those packages here. What the hell's going on? And there's something else here. Wait a second, what's this? Oh, all of these are like, you're so silly. And I'm picking this up going, wow, cool packaging. And then I thought to myself, I didn't do this. Like, I don't remember putting this on the table. So there are ghosts in the machine placing packages here, donating. So, so Judy and Howie are amazing. They donated some very cool things, and there's apparently new things here, which I guess I'll open one. Oh, wait, where did this come from? There's another one. I keep finding more. Every time I go back here, I find something else that I didn't know about. And this one says NASA items. Ooh. Okay, you will open this one. All right, so on your mark, get set. Everyone walk over here, grab a scissor, grab a package and open. Have fun. You are now deputized to be museum curators. I hope you brought your white gloves. So I'm gonna start off the unboxing by announcing, hi, I'm Denny Daniel, and we're doing our first and only unboxing of the Oddities, Stranger Things, Secret Speakeasy. Everyone's opening up a package. I'm gonna grab my favorite scissors here. And oh, who got the? Who picked up the top? How do you want me? But afterwards, we'll put it on that table, or just put it on this table together, package and item. There was a white one. There was a cool. You're opening that, guys? I will. There's a great story behind that package. There is an insane story. Abigail, Janice is opening up the package we've been following for a month. Oh. Yeah. So, so who's got the first one open? You do. Oh, Michelle. Okay, so Michelle opened up this one, and this one is a donation from Howie, which, wow. So who's this?
That's from that show, the 90s show, isn't it? Xenon?
So, Paul, you love this. And then, so who's this? You know?
I think that's.
Oh, you're right.
Princess Lori.
Yeah, you're right. And then this is incredible, Howie. Oh my God, it's King Kong. Holy moly. Oh my God, and the backside he goes over, so I realized.
Oh, yeah.
Over is King Kong. On whatever building that is, it's not the right building. What the hell?
Oh, oh wow.
This is not the Empire State Building. And then he brought some advertising. Truth in Advertising, Terror 2, Mother's Day Pieces, a horror film fans delight, 80s newspaper ads. Oh my God, Howie, this is incredible. These are really cool. So I'm putting that there. And then who's next? Who opens something next? Wow. So Katie, come here. Okay. This is really important. This is my entire childhood and the reason why this museum exists.
Wow. And I picked it.
Yeah, Michael Hannafin opened this, taught me this. This is the Nibelungenlied. Tristan and Isolde were the first of these Celtic Teutonic tales that I read when I got into NYU in my literature major. And this teacher, when I was a kid, was so cool. He had this like frosty Andy Warhol hair, and he would show up with a pile of books and he'd be like flailing his arms and teaching with such it was so much fun. And his classes were like 14 books to read in one semester, and this was one of them. And and Wagner, of course, did the opera for it. But do you remember Bugs Bunny where he goes, kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit? That's
from there.
Yeah, that's from there too. Yeah, it was the Valkyries and Nibelungen, and these are like 1,000-year-old tales. So the way that men behave, the way that men should behave, the way that women should behave, chivalry, all those things come from these tales of honor and knights and dragons and all that. So all those things that the dragon and all that comes from these tales, the King Arthur's court and the Nibelungenlied and Tristan and Isolde. So this is just amazing. I love this. And
We have to keep it.
I really. So what did you open?
So I opened some Warner Brothers Bluebird clips from the 1930s.
Oh my God, the blooper reel from Warner Brothers. This is great. And our blooper show is next week, I believe. So I'm playing this next week. So you're going to show up next week and string this one up. So put that together there, because that is the holy grail there. Wow. And it's Frank. This is the Frank you kept hearing about. They did 35mm film, which makes me look like a baby. So step right up. What you got? And what's your name?
Not sure. Elijah.
Elijah opened up, ironically, the church that does here is the Elijah Church, before I show up. So this is Willie Tyler and Lester, and this is Action Dancers. And I was smart enough, because the guy didn't write all the titles on it, to write the titles on the package. So this is what you open. That's
Thank you.
okay, so that's the thing. Oh, Elvis!
Elvis.
Blue suede shoes!
Oh, that's awesome.
Elijah opened up Elvis blue suede shoes. That is so cool. Every time we play this, you could say that you touched it before me. How cool is that? So the other ones you opened were Willie Tyler and Lester doing a ventriloquist act from 1960. That is really cool. It's the stills look cool, so that's going to be part of the oddity show today. So the other one is Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Sweet Darling, They Don't Leave Me. So that is the Action Dancers dancing to that song. So the other one I got is the actual actress doing it. This one is Martha and the Vandells doing Dancing in the Street, Philadelphia. So I now finally have all those clips which you opened up. These are great clips that we're going to play constantly.
I love those issues.
So what you got there? So the great story. So Dennis opened up the Holy Grail and the Wandering Devos VHS. Yeah, the Devo. Now I managed to actually film these guys when one of the, I think it was Mark Mothers is an artist, and he did a show at Lit Gallery. So I got to interview them and speak to them. They're great. So I wanted to add, we did our 80s show last week where I showed VHS tapes of all the great 80s bands. And I was like, oh, I should get Devo. And I got it with enough time to get here. And yet it went crazy. So it came from California and it went all the way to Jersey City. And I'm like, oh no, it's in Jersey City. Everything, that's like the Bermuda Triangle of post offices. So all of a sudden it was in Jersey City, and they said it was coming to New York, going to the destination, and then literally within 12 hours it's in Missouri. And I'm like, what? Why is it in Missouri? So then it goes from Missouri, and I'm like, well, what's it doing there? And then it goes to Tennessee, to Memphis, to meet Elvis. And I'm like, why is it in Elvis? So Abigail and I are I'm going every day, I'm calling her going, because she was the one who asked me to get this one. She's like, oh, you should get Devo. And I said, yes, great. I know the man who filmed them in 3D, and I've got to film them. It'll be great to show it this thing. But meanwhile, it's flying around the country. So now it's in Memphis, and I'm like, what? So then it goes from Memphis to I think it stops in New York for a second, and then goes back to Jersey City. And I'm like, I'm screwed, it's back in Jersey. And then I think it went to Michigan or something. So I realized what it's doing. You know what it's doing. Devo's probably on tour. And it was hand delivered by the actual members of Devo. And everywhere they went is where this stupid tape went. And I just had to wait for them to play New York is probably what happened. So that's our theory. That's our science behind it. What do you think? I'm going with it. That's tried and true if I've ever heard it. So here, put that with the packaging before it gets lost. We can't walk right to that table, and I don't want to see you in Michigan or Missouri or something. Okay, so this is the famous Judy, who's an absolute sweetheart here in Howie, and they opened up something really cool. You know this man. It is part of this museum has the world's largest collection of birthday records. We have almost 400 birthday records. So I have everyone singing happy birthday to everyone. I have Frank. I have Katie. So I have Judy. Do I have Howie? I think I have Howie. The 350. And it took me like 2 years to get my own name. I was like, really? I can't find my name? I'm telling you, there is a God and he has a sense of humor. So now I got Captain Kangaroo singing happy birthday. How cool is that? And these are generic ones. But there were many people who sang specific ones for names. The Three Stooges. I have the Three Stooges singing happy birthday to all sorts of people. I have Captain Kangaroo. He did personalized ones also. And you ready for this? The most unlikely, Joan Rivers. It must have been like a high point in her career when she's like, yeah, I should just be good for it. Oh, yes, and then, cool. And then what's left? Oh, excellent. And, oh my God, don't look your name. And he opened up the world's greatest, wait, this is a donation, because I didn't buy this. This is from you, Howie, isn't it? Howie, step right up. So he donated another amazing 2 books. He's donated like a full box of Mad magazine books.
Ripley's Believe It or Not from 1954, believe it or not.
And then this one, the world's greatest monster quiz. Wow, this will be great for our Scared Silly show, which is named after Paul's blog. And this one, believe it or not, I've done Ripley's Believe It or Not. I've thrown multiple parties in their venue on 42nd Street in Times Square. Yeah, and at first they put me in some other room and I'm like, you have a torture room? I'm doing put the Museum of Interesting Things in the torture room because I brought crack medical devices. So if that isn't torture, I don't know what is. So these are really cool.
I hope it's an interesting thing.
It's clearly an interesting thing. And so what else have we got? So that goes in there. And then there's another one behind you here, Katie. That, yes. Who opened the NASA thing? Did anyone open the NASA stuff? Oh, this is a CD. All of it. So, Howie, what is this?
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Building a bridge.
Yeah.
Future.
When my son was working for NASA as a college intern, they gave him about 30 of these to spread around to all the students because he was young and he thought that they thought he was young. This is for a space shuttle program replacement that was never done. So you put it in your computer and it plays like a PowerPoint or video or something. And it's like money wasted.
A cool space shuttle.
Yeah, and the same son went to Fujiwara in Japan to give a paper for NASA.
Wow, really?
So this is very educational. It's another Dickens novel for you. Cool. So all the scientific papers.
Wow, that's
that they
impressive.
did at Fujiwara.
Now you realize the coincidence here. My sister worked at NASA.
Oh yeah, she had
She was the
suit.
industrial psychologist, right? And then I have the NASA jumpsuits, the space shuttle jumpsuits, which whenever we do our space show, I put someone in one.
And this is worth putting out on the table when you do.
Oh
the
yeah,
NASA show.
that's beautiful. So yeah, my sister was the industrial psychologist. I say that she was making sure that they didn't go crazy. So, would you open up?
A CD with a little note.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is another donation from you.
Oh, how
So this is, yeah, this is Howie
This
again.
This goes with a book that I gave.
That you gave me, yes.
Right. So it took me a while to find the CD that goes with the book.
So this is part of a show I debuted this January, right after New Year's, when everybody was hungover. The Ridiculous Records Secret Speakeasy, where I had a ton of ridiculous records, including the one on the cover of this CD. I have that one, where this guy's playing, what is that, xylophone, and she's strangling herself with pearls, because that's what, clearly he's not a good xylophone player, because she's like, just kill me now. I'm like, why do you come up with a cover like this? What does this even mean? Does this show that you should buy the music or buy the pearls and kill yourself when you buy them? So I've been adding to this collection of ridiculous records, and it's double what it was in January. We have increased it exponentially. So yeah, this is, when we do it again, it's got even more cool stuff. So did we get everything? I think we did. We did it. Give yourselves a hand. You did it. You are now museum curators. How cool is that? So I have no clue what film I just put on the projectors to play. Oh, I do know. It's another Oddities film. This one is Mail Order Bride, ironically after opening up the mail. But I don't know if I have any of these in there. So this is Mail Order Bride. You're going to get a kick out of this. It's completely odd and wrong, and this would so not fly today. So have a seat and enjoy. And good job, guys.
You're such a great storyteller,
Oh, I wanted to mention Oscar is here. And so if you guys see the brochure, the first show I ever did in 2009, I was terrified. I was like, I want to change careers. I don't know what to do. I have this museum idea. I went to my elementary school, the Solomon Schechter in Queens, and I called them and I said, we're going to teach kids history using the actual items, and the kids are going to get to touch the items. And I called newspapers and said, you should show up. And they said, who are you? We're not showing up. And I said, no, you need to bring a photographer. They said, you're not getting pictures. And they gave me front page articles with color photography in the Tribune and the Chronicle and all these papers. And then when you opened up the newspaper, 2-page spreads with color pictures all through the thing in a black and white newspaper. I was like, whoa, holy. I only had 2 people show up for that show, Lisa and Asif, because I was terrified. They were my best friends in the world and I trusted them. And Asif has done the door here and helped me do shows at schools and help with the kids and videotape that show. There's video footage of that. And when you see the pictures on the brochure with the kids grabbing at all the items, they went crazy over the items. They're like, oh my God, oh my God. That was Asif who took all that photography and all those videos. So thank you, Asif. You're part of the family here. And you did that. There's a t-shirt shop. There's a t-shirt from the shop. And you can get t-shirts from him, custom made. And they're amazing. What's it called? Gimme Gimme Tees. Asif's store is Gimme Gimme Tees. And I helped him. I kind of inspired him for the name because he saw it in a figure.
Miss Adams, take a letter. If you're looking for a sweetheart because you're lonely and you want someone to love and adore, write a letter to our company and we'll send by mail just the girl you're looking for. You'll be more than satisfied with our selection of the ones we'll send for your inspection.
We're the mail order man, you've ordered by parcel post. We come to you, keep the one that you like best, and then return the rest. For any one of us will bring a thrift from you. We're all guaranteed romantic. Just try one out, these stars above. And the pride that you get from a mail order house will come to you with kisses and love.
Most of those are like 40s and 50s,
No, but
late 40s.
the last one.
But that's what I mean, yeah. So obviously it's past 9. but because everyone, especially the internet people who don't have to go anywhere, they're on their sofas, don't leave. As we pack up, we're not like Webster Hall and Limelight, which Asif knows because he remembers when I worked there. And CB's, when I talk about the CB's thing, when I tell you about my birthday party and CB's brought me the chocolate cake, Asif, you're the one who filmed that, remember? Yeah. So that's the guy that filmed the birthday cake coming up. Thank God you were there, because I never thought they would bring me a chocolate cake. 2 chocolate cakes we got that day.
Barry wasn't there that first day?
What's that?
Barry was not there the first day?
No, Barry wasn't there for that. Yeah, that was a while. I don't even know if I knew Barry. That's before the museum. I met Barry before the museum because he inspired, but about 2 years before. But that was probably a while before Barry. Yeah, Asif knows me a long time. So the next film is another one of those Walter Futter's Curiosities. This is reel 3 from that. So you're going to get more strange and unusual curiosities from Walter Futter. And like I said, whenever we pack up, so what was talking about Limelight? Yeah, normally the Limelight bouncers go to you. You know, they turn on the lights and everyone sees their makeup all smeared, and they're like, "Oh shit, that's what the person I was kissing all night looked like." Oh shit, what was I thinking? And then the girl's looking like, "Why did I get?" So but they're still drunk, so it's still okay. But the bouncers would always say, "Get out, leave, you can't." And you remember the line, right? You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Now, when I decided to do the speakeasy, I said, you know what? It's my speakeasy. I can do what I want. So rather than kicking everyone out, I play films you guys enjoy. And the people at home, I play films they enjoy. And then while you're watching films, I'm packing up and cleaning up the space, because what do I care if you guys are enjoying yourself watching films? So we do not kick you out. So the next one, like I said, is the Bizarre Curiosities film from 1930, this one. So,
It's a common thing that they say.
Oh my God, it's a silent. I forgot about that. So let me get out of this.
As New Yorkers, we all take pride in where we're from. It's like Con Edison is working to make it a place where clean energy lives for our fellow New Yorkers and generations to come. Visit con.com/clean energy to see the vision.
That was fun. I like the Curiosities one. So the next one is called Clay. It's another one of these cool animation films from like the mid 1900s. I'm going to go read it off the reel because I have notes on my reel. So it's made by Harvard. Believe it or not, the Harvard Carpenter Center.
Did you see it? I saw it.
Believe it or not.
There was no story. It was
And this is Clay, the Origin of Species.
Years later, I was like, okay, kind of like it. It's really pretty.
And it's from 1964.
Yeah, no, I
Elliot, Noyes. Noyes.
I didn't like it. But then the more I thought about it, like grew on me. I don't think I could ever see it again.
I was like setting up the next one.
Did you blow a bulb?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to check.
That's it.
Oh, that feels like it might be black. Let's see if it just needs a little.
It was. Yeah. It wasn't.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah, it was really big. They were like, I'm gonna save like $60. That's like people.
Yeah, you're gonna follow instruction. So kind of like that. Oh, uh-oh. You all right?
Well, that goes over.
No. All right, is that a ball? That's really good. It's so seven. I wasn't very good. I walked in and just tried to do that.
Something up with the projector, the bolts, sighted on the boat. It's the elephant broken.
It's almost clean.
Yeah, I think it's not reading the book. Which is interesting. All this time, put it on this one. The projector may have a problem with the electricity going from the bulbs. And some of you know that I've been spending my entire 2 months fixing things. So it's no wonder the projector would be in trouble. That was the last thing left. Music is great, huh? That's totally fun music. So, for those of you, it's not you, but those only there know, the 2 months of fixing everything lately, the list is like literally a mile long. It's been driving me crazy. The car twice. The muffler had to be completely built. There's pictures of him literally welding the muffler back together. And then the whole engine, taking the entire thing apart. Thank God the guy's a sweetheart. And then the computer, which thank God for Ira, who left before, found the guy who took apart the computer. And we had to literally buy another one and take the brains and guts out of one and put it in the other. And then the scanner. And then what else? Oh my God! And then the flat and the tires like 3 times. Oh my God! The list is just on and on. Even the cat and me, you know, with my foot limping. I mean, it was just, there's such a list of things. I'm not even saying like there's so many more on that list. It's unbelievable. My friends are like, oh my God, what a great, oh, and then the toilet in the bathroom all morning. I spent working on that. And then the AC in the bathroom and the shower in the bathroom broke. So, and it's just in the past 2 months. Plus, some of you know that I had to pay the giant COVID bill in June. So I was like killing myself to take care of that. And then everything else broke and was like, 500 here, 500 there, 500 there. And I'm like, this can't happen in the same 2 month, like month to 2 month period. And now that projector is actually broken. It's got to be repaired too. And it's the magnetic projector, and the magnetic show is in 2 weeks. So I'm like, really? So that thing's got to be fixed in 2 weeks from a guy that takes a year to fix a projector. Like I literally call him 6 months later. He's like, yeah, it's not ready yet. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it'll somehow happen because show must go on. So we will have that show no matter what happens to that projector. But unfortunately, now that projector's down, and then I was like, oh my God, it's 10 o'clock. And I've packed nothing. So I guess I should kind of close up shop and start packing everything and putting it together, because I'll be here for at least another hour and a half packing everything. And it's like, I think it's like 10:15. Usually we end by now, but I mean, I have so many more to do. And I can't string up the projectors because now the other one is dead. So I couldn't string one up, because you know that you guys would have what, 2 projectors or 3 aimed at the screen. Right. Now I have none because the other one is dead. So great. So we'll close up now. I'm trying to think of what the next theme is, so that you know. Let me look at my calendar so you know. It's either medicine or it's something else. Let me see if I can find
Yeah,
it.
the bloopers.
Paper calendar. I love it. Oddities. No, that can't be right. I knew the scope.
You say the bloopers were gonna happen next week?
What's that?
You said the bloopers
Right.
were gonna happen next week.
Was that the bloopers for next week?
Yeah, because you got the bloopers reel and you said, oh, we play that next.
Right, but it's either, oh, and there's no, I really don't know. Because Scopy Tone is definitely the 7th. I think the bloopers is the 14th. Yes, the bloopers is the 14th because we're doing a film screening that day for Broken Bath Theater. So I remember that because she has a broken arm, I'm doing bloopers as like, you know, bloopers falling around. Yeah, that's why. Okay, so next week is Quack Medical. Yes, next week is going to be Quack Medical. Now I know. Finally, good. Okay, so next week is Quack Medical, and then after that will be the Scopy Tone one, which means that has to be fixed, or I can figure out something somehow, because there are several machines, but 2 are broken now. So I don't know if they have 2 more. One I know works. I'm not sure about the other one. And Movie Mike is donating one that's supposed to be a Frankenstein. The sound doesn't work on one of it, and he has a jerry rig to a speaker somewhere else. And I'm like, that frightens the hell out of me. I'm like, you know what, man? I'm so not relying on that one for a show. Like, I'm going to give it to someone, have him fix it properly, and then I might rely on it for a show. So we'll see what happens. But definitely next week, I don't have to worry because I've got 10 regular projectors. So there'll be a working one for that. For sure. So before I close out, I want to show you some of the cool oddities that I brought here. One of which is Pesky, Pesky Devils. This is like a spray for bug spray. I'm telling you, everything's crazy. Yeah, Pesky Devils Quietus, 35 cents. Isn't that crazy? And then this, which I got from, if you know the Science Channel show Oddities, I was on that show a bunch of times. Evan is a dear friend. I knew her from before she even had that antique shop. So when they closed, they stopped the show, and then a year or so later, they closed the shop in the East Village. And I love Evan to death. So I literally grabbed everything in the shop and I said, I need everything. So this is one of the shoes she had there. And my dad, as some of you know, was a big shoe designer. He did Nine West and Bloomingdale's and Macy's and Florsheim and all those ones. So I got this one also kind of in memory of my dad. This was meant for like people who have polio. And so one leg was often off from the other one. So you got them one of these shoes. And I've got about 4 of these, believe it or not. Yeah, she had 4, and I said, I want all of them. You're not leaving the store without me getting all of them. So that's our show. Thank you very, very, very much for helping and supporting, especially this past 2 months, which I need the support more than anything. So thanks. As you heard in the back, that stupid bulb broke too. And I'm like, really? So I'm going to bubble wrap myself for the rest of July. Yeah, I'm thinking that's the only way to survive this. Bubble wrap myself and everything I own, because everything I own is breaking too, including. So I'm just going to bubble wrap everything around. So wish me luck getting home tonight. I should hopefully get home in 1 or 2 pieces. But either I'll get home safely or I'll have fun. And I'll see all of you next week. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Bye-bye, you're good curators. Bye, humans. Who's there? Bye, guys. Oh my gosh.